Really wasn't sure how to make this video. I just wanted to take some time to think on it. People talk a lot about the negativity in the Pokemon community right now, the toxicity of the Pokemon community right now. And those people don't really understand the reason people are the way they are when it comes to these kinds of things. I don't want to make this about Pokemon Sword and Shield, but I have to. Um, there are much better looking games on the Switch. I'm not saying Pokemon Sword and Shield looks like crap, but it could look a lot better. We got a lot of beautiful games on the Switch, but they give us this bare bones experience, what it looks like. And people are upset about that, and justifiably so. But we get news, well, yesterday, that Pokemon Duel, the mobile game that we've all been playing for the last 2.5 years, is going to be closing down. It's going to be shutting down the service. Shutting down the servers. You're not going to be able to play the game anymore, at least up after October 31st. The reason this has everybody upset is because it came out of nowhere. There was no sign that the game was dying. I know people who play Pokemon Duel will say otherwise, but the game, like me personally, I think that the game has been is the best as it's possibly ever been. There are a lot of imbalanced figures in the game, yeah, but everything feels more viable because of that. You could make a deck out of any figure that you want, maybe except for Latios and Latios. They're still pretty bad, but nothing really felt like it wasn't usable anymore. Ever since the what update was that? The one that Dawn Wings, Necrozma, and Dustfang Necrozma came in. Like everything, like since that update going forward has been good. Like Psychic's been strong, Ghost has remained strong, Steel got strong, Fire got strong, Grass has pretty much been dead, but Ice got good. Uh, like all these types, Electric, stupid good right now, but everything felt viable. And if you didn't pay into the game, and recently it wasn't that much, it was $17 a month. There was really no excuse for nobody to be able to do that, unless they had more financial responsibility. I understand not everybody can pay, but $17 a month is what they were asking for you to get the new figures. They took away the monetization for the dual boost and the 10-win boost and just gave it to you. So as long as you properly use those, you can get any figure that you wanted. But the game wasn't that expensive, but the game made money. It was like what, $34 million in lifetime revenue. That's a lot of money for a mobile game. And Pokemon Duel was the Pokemon company's second most profitable Pokemon mobile game. Like the top three, with number one being Pokemon Go, Pokemon Duel second, or Pokemon Shuffle. It's one of the two. But the top three grossing Pokemon games right there for mobile are those three. And they just released news that we are shutting the game down. And nobody understands why. The game wasn't dying. The game was actively getting updates. And these type of games aren't that expensive to run. They're not. Um, but there was no sign that this was going to happen. Yeah, we all know that eventually a mobile game will shut down. But that usually happens when a mobile game naturally dies. The player base just stops. The game's not making any money. And it just gets to a point where operation just becomes impossible for a company that's trying to make money. So they do either one or two things. They'll sell that game and sell it to somebody else, and maybe they can revive it. A lot of mobile games typically do that rather than kill the game off and invalidate the purchases that people have made. This is that thing as a game as a service, which I don't like, but I'll talk about that more later. Or the game just dies. Nobody wants to invest in it anymore, and that's just it. None of these things really matter. So to hear this, when they're releasing two new games, I think it's three actually. You got Pokemon Sword and Shield coming up. This other app called Pokemon Sleep. I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to talk about it. And Pokemon Masters. Pokemon Masters was the game that I was looking forward to playing. I pre-registered for it and everything else. I was going to play that. Once Pidgeot got released in Pokemon Duel, I was going to start recording and streaming the game, since I would have cared more about it at that point. But that suddenly changed. I already wasn't buying Pokemon Shield because of the things that they chose to do for that game. Pokemon Masters, I'm simply not going to buy, because it honestly feels like they're manipulating their fan base right now by saying, if we kill Pokemon Duel, then those Pokemon Duel players will come over and spend money on Pokemon Masters. And the game will be extra profitable, since we're bringing in, we'll say, Duel made what? About 34 million in 2.5 years. We'll say 3, counting for Japan too. So, but 34 million divided by 3 is like what? It's just over $10 million. So Pokemon Company is probably looking at, well, if we get those Pokemon Duel players over here, that'll get us $10 million in revenue. And it probably will, maybe more. But, if you just average it out over the 3 years, it's about $10 million. So they're saying we can get that money in Pokemon Masters, and the game will be a success, and we'll keep it around. And that doesn't feel genuine to any of us, because we love this game as a community. Yeah, we've had good times with the game. We had bad times with the game. A lot of us had a lot of bad times with the game. But it was the community. We still came together. We watched the videos. We played in the events. We did the tournaments. We did a lot of things for this. Not to mention, Pokemon Duel has raised money for, I don't know if it was Doctors Without Borders, but we raised money for these types of charities. So there's that charitable aspect, a part of the game too. And it was just something else that made us all come together. And they don't see it that way. They just wanna kill it. Like, some of you might not know, right? I was the guy in Pokemon Duel that saved 80,000 gems, waiting for the day that they put Pidgeot in the game so I can crack the biggest booster opening on YouTube. I had 81,000 gems. It might not have been 81,000. It was over 80k gems though. 80k gems. There was 550 booster tickets. I think collectively, there might have been 500 and something regular booster tickets, then another 50 or 60 of the I forgot what those booster tickets were called. The ones that only dropped a rare or higher. The exclusive loyalty tickets, yeah. I had 50 or 60 of those, and I was looking forward to that day they put Pidgeot in the game so I could crack this big booster opening. Me and Giggity talked about it. I saved every single cube that I had because I wanted to give the first cube UC to Pidgey, the first cube R to Pidgeotto, the first cube, I guess, REX to Pidgeot, and the first UX cube to Mega Pidgeot. I was looking forward to that. That was the one thing that I was looking forward to. And they took that away from me. Not once, but twice. They took it away from me twice. The first time they took it away from me was when they decided they were taking away the booster mechanic. So I suddenly had 80,000 gems that were essentially useless because I couldn't do with them what I wanted to do with them. Booster tickets too, useless. They took that away from me the first time, but it was no big deal, right? It was no big deal. The game was still alive, and they were trying to comply with loot box laws. I understand that. And that was the right thing to do. I would much rather people play the game and not feel like they're getting walled out by money or by RNG, and just have people get the things that they want. That was a good move. I didn't mind that. But I suddenly had 80,000 gems to spend and about 550 booster tickets to use. So Giggity contacted me again. He was like, do you still want to do this? And I was like, you know what? I wanted to do this because the community deserved to have this really big booster opening. So I transferred in my account. We ran the stream. He cracked 60,000 gems. So I wanted to keep 20,000 to see what the future was going to hold. And he cracked every single booster ticket. The video was it was long. It wasn't 12 hours. It might have been 12 hours. It was but it was long. Like I stayed up all night on a work night to make sure that video got done. I wanted to be there for him while he was doing it, and it was a fun time. You know, everybody was coming in, and we cracked a lot of figures. I'll do a separate video showing what I got, but I'll either link to his video of the booster opening, or I'll have like a cut in somewhere that shows it. I'll most likely just link it because I don't really want to put that much effort into editing this video. It looks like it's going to be long and the rendering times are going to be stupid, but that's what I wanted to do. And then this most recent time, they just straight up took away any hope that I had for it, which was funny because I always told myself, it's like, if I get to use Pidgeot in this game, I will most likely only have a month to use it. And while that might not be true, because they already said they're not making any more new figures, but I just hope deep down that I can just use Pidgeot in this game just once. Just, you know, a sorry that we essentially ruined this game for you, because I effectively spent money on this game hoping for something. Like, we all spend money on mobile games to continue the development in the hopes that we get something that we want, or just anything at all. And I didn't get any of that. I essentially spent probably $2,000 on this game and didn't even get what I want. And that's the thing that hurts the most, is that the Pokemon Company doesn't see us as individuals. Like, the Pokemon Company doesn't see me as the guy that spent $2,000 on this game because I was waiting for Pidgeot. They see me as the guy who's going to spend $2,000 on Pokemon Masters. And that's all I am to the Pokemon Company, is the guy that will spend $2,000 on it. They probably see me as the guy that'll spend more money on it because Pidgeot is in Pokemon Masters. I can get it in the game when it comes out. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that anymore. I planned on doing that. I guess $17 is too much for the Pokemon Company to lose, right? They can't afford to have Pokemon Duel. They have to have that extra $17, you know, a person. And let's do some math real quick, right? We have, let me open up my calculator because I'm not good at math. So let's do this real quick. I'm going to open my calculator. I've seen in an event, right? When we played in the last team event. Was it a team event? Yeah. Last team event. Where I tanked. I think it was gym, but I usually forfeit every match, then give a bug bot. Yeah, so it was the gym event. I usually just forfeit every single match that I play and win against the bug bot because I don't need the resources that the gyms give. I'll show you my account. I don't need anything that the gym can give me. So I played enough just to get the Goodra, I think it was, but that was just through bug bots. And when I was at my absolute lowest, I think I maybe only gained 10 points in the gym. My rating was like eventually like 15, 15, 10, or it was either the gym or the team match event. We'll just say one of the two. My ranking, it showed the overall players in the game, right? There was about 250,000 players. So we'll say just averaging out 250,000. There could be more because people can tie for certain ranks in the thousands. But that's where I was. That's what I saw, was 250-ish thousand. So if we say 10%, right, of the players will spend money out of that 250,000, that's 25,000 people. Let's say 25,000 of those people spend the $17 a month that Pokemon Duel required. That's $425,000 just from that 10% of active players. And that's probably what they're looking at. They will clear that probably in the first week of the game's life before they start adding those crazy monetization status, the sales and whatever. But that's what they're looking at, If we got those 10% of Pokemon Duel players to spend money on our game, we can clear $250,000 just from converting those players from Pokemon Duel to a Pokemon Masters. That's the way I'm looking at it now. That's probably the way the community is looking at it. And it's sad because they don't think that we're capable of spending an extra $17 a month. You know, you're looking at it right here, $17 per person. You know, that's not a lot of money, but when you factor in 10% of the people that will spend that 17, for the player pass, that's $425,000. So looking at this number, we can tell that the game isn't, making, it's not making money. It is. It's making a lot of money, but we don't know what cut Heroes was getting, what cut the Pokemon company was getting. But that really shouldn't matter. It's still revenue for them. They don't have to produce the game. They just pay licensing fees, and that's it. But I'm really hurt because the thing I was looking forward to, I'm no longer looking forward to. I really don't want to play Pokemon Masters. I want to boycott that game. I want everybody else to boycott the game. Because if this is what we can expect from Pokemon mobile games, then I don't feel confident in purchasing anything from the Pokemon company. The games, I mean, who's to say they won't shut down the card game or the card game online? To you Pokemon Go players out there, like, how would you feel if they decided they wanted a new Pokemon catching simulator, and as a result, they said they're ending service for Pokemon Go? How can you feel confident in a company when they essentially look at a game as, well, we'll run it for 2 years and then we'll shut it down? This is what you expect from Chinese games. When they make them by thousands, they run them for, a year or two, get as much money as they can, then they shut down the servers, and now you don't have anything. Like, if I can expect this from Pokemon, then I don't want to do it. Like, who's to say they won't make another game 2 years from now and say, well, we're ending service for Pokemon Masters? Like, it's been a debate in the mobile gaming community about games as a service. I don't like that philosophy because it essentially means anything that you spend money on in the game, you don't own. You're essentially leasing it. You're paying for them. You're paying them to be able to use that specific team, that specific item, that specific whatever. You don't own anything that you bought in that game. And that sucks because if Pokemon Duel, right, was just, you pay $17 a month, $20 a month, $25, $30 a month. You just pay a subscription fee a month, right? And you had access to every single figure. You could put their levels where you wanted them at. You could put your chains where you wanted them at. You can expand them. Like, the only thing that you were doing was leasing the figures. Every figure was always available to you. You could pick anything that you wanted. You can build a deck out of anything that you wanted. You didn't have to spend money on loot boxes or gacha mechanics or RNG or whatever. You just pay the subscription fee up front. Maybe you get the first month free to see if you want to play it, but you decide you want to, and you pay that $25 subscription fee, and you have every figure available to you that they've ever designed. All you have to do is put them in a deck and play them. Like, if it were like that, then I don't think the community would care that much, because they didn't really pay into the figures. They didn't have to spend, $250 to finally get the Charizard or the Vaporeon, or they didn't have to do that. They just had access to every figure. Think of it like a card game online where all you're doing is just picking a card and putting it in a deck. Every card is available to you, and all you're doing is paying a subscription fee. Like, if Duel was like that, I would be like, okay, I paid the subscription service to use that service. That's fine. I can move on to the next game and not have a sour taste in my mouth. But I've spent, $2,000 on this game waiting for the one thing that I was hoping for. The many opportunities for it to happen, and it never did. But just waiting for that one thing, and I don't have it. I essentially gave Heroes, the Pokemon Company, $2,000 and never got what I wanted. So that's the thing that hurts. Like, people will say, well, that's just the sunk cost fallacy. You spent a lot of money on a game and you can't let it go. It's like, I spent money on games and I've let them go. Yeah, it's hard to stop doing something that you've invested so much time and money in. And that's true for everything. Nobody's going to spend, $20,000 rebuilding a car and then not feel some kind of way when that gets taken away from them. Somebody's going to feel some kind of way about that. But this is more of an online principle, because not only was I waiting for something, there are a bunch of other people in the community who were also waiting for something and never got what they wanted. Maybe you were waiting for Nidoking to come into the game, another fan favorite of Gen 1, and it never happened. I personally feel that bird Pokemon in this game, the thing that I was looking forward to, never even got the chance to shine. We got the legendary birds and Honchkrow. I guess Talonflame did a thing, but they weren't there. Like, most of them weren't there, and I was looking forward to that, and I'm never going to get to see that. I feel they mismanaged the normal type and the flying type as a whole, but I'm not going to see that. It's really interesting. It's like, I look at this a lot, like going into a car dealership and trying to buy a car. You're talking the salesman down from, the $42,000 they're trying to sell it to you for, versus, the 33 or 34,000 that you're willing to pay for it. And they're saying, no, we don't want to do it. We don't want to do it. But they keep trying to add on things like, $200 for this service, maybe $400 for this service. So rather than take, the $34,000 for the vehicle that you wanted and call it a deal, they rather lose that $34,000 rather than, because they're trying to push this 200 on you, and you're tired, but you're like, no, I don't want it anymore. I don't care. So the Pokemon Company would rather lose that $425,000. This is a rough estimate. I'm not saying that's what it is, because we don't know the numbers, but they would much rather lose that $425,000 they're getting now from Pokemon Duel, just for an event, and they rather try to get that $17 from you. They don't want it for that game. They want it for their new thing, their new game. I honestly can't agree with this. And I know people will say, well, the Pokemon card game rotates their cards out of format. But the difference there is that there's still an older format that you can do for them. The collector value is there on the third market, secondary market. But the main thing is that you still have a physical product. Your Charizard card might not be tournament legal, but it's still going to be worth a lot in the secondary market, and it's still a physical product. If they were to close the Pokemon card game right now, that card will still hold value, because it's something you can hold. It's something that it's something that you have. Pokemon Duel mobile games, you don't have that. When they shut the servers down, you lose everything. No refunds, no nothing. And they're saying, well, it was just a game as a service. This is just, how it was. So what I think we should do as a community, because we want this game to stick around, and there's a chance that they might listen to us, but we have to be respectful, first off, but we have to let them know very loud and clear that we're not going to stand for this. Because if this is what we can expect from Pokemon mobile games, then we don't want anything to do with it. We need to tell them, whether it is we're signing a petition, we're tweeting at them harshly every hour, just make enough noise that they have to respond to it. They have to do something, because this here is really bad publicity for any other mobile game that they're going to make, especially Pokemon Masters, because we know the reason they're closing Duel is to build artificial inflation for money for this game. So sign petitions, tweet at them, make videos. Make sure you share this video. Make sure everybody in the community knows that this is a problem. Even if they've never played Pokemon Duel, post this in the Pokemon Go communities. Let them know that this here is how they're doing their mobile games, and you can sort of expect this too one day. Anything out there, mobile gaming, make headlines, news, whatever. Make sure that everybody knows that this isn't okay, because it really feels like something needs to be done here. And I almost believe this here is approaching class action lawsuit territory, simply because of how they're choosing to go about this. Like, they're deciding this for us. We didn't make this decision. We didn't say, okay, we're done with this game, we're moving on to something else. We're still actively playing this game. The game is still actively getting updates, and they just chose out of nowhere to do this. We know why they're doing this. Maybe there are lawmakers out there or somebody that can see this, because there needs to be laws that protect us mobile gamers from companies doing this. They shouldn't be allowed to run a game for 2.5 years that's still very active and then shut it down because they want to do something else. They either need to sell the game, leave the servers up, and let us continue to play, whether or not they want to do updates for the game. But this right here is really immoral, because if 2.5 years is what we can expect from a competitive Pokemon game, then we should not be giving a Pokemon company our money. You need to vote with your wallets. Tell them that this is not okay. They cannot be allowed to do this, and they can't be allowed to get away with this. We really need somebody on our side here to help out with this. I know people are going to be very upset that I'm essentially telling people to cancel their pre-registrations for Pokemon Masters, to not download and play Pokemon Masters, or if you choose to play Pokemon Masters, do not spend a dime on it. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. Pidgeot is in Pokemon Masters, and I want to play it because of that, because that was my original intent. But if I do play the game, they're not getting any of my money. They're not, because if this is how they treat their games, then I don't want to invest into that. The whole reason people pay into mobile games is to get things to get ahead, yes, but it's also to continue support for the game. As long as the game is actively making money, the developers are going to be active in making sure that we get the updates that we need and stuff like that. So if you're not confident in Pokemon games anymore, like I'm not confident in Pokemon anymore, your time and money is probably better off spent playing other games. Another game that I love to hate is AFK Arena. The game is actively getting updates, and it's been running for a very long time from what I've been hearing. And it is a Chinese game, but it's one that they own, and they've been very supportive of the community doing things that we've asked for. So I would say look into AFK Arena, Brawl Stars, is Clash of Clans still a thing? It probably is. I hear their community was good, but probably look into playing other mobile games instead of other Pokemon games. The other thing that I wanted to say was, if Pokemon Masters wasn't the reason that Pokemon Duel got shut down, it's most likely because I think they're working on a Pokemon auto chess game. And I've never played auto chess, so I don't know what it is. But I've seen videos of how it can be like, and I can see how Pokemon Duel can clash with that. But if that is indeed what they're doing, there's still no reason for them to shut down the game. Well, I mean, that's all I got. I'm not as heartbroken as I was yesterday when I found out about it, but I'm still not angry. I'm kind of going through the stages of grief here, and I think I've reached the acceptance level. I'm not completely there. I do feel like there is something that we can do, and we should do something as a community, but I just it hurts. You know, it feels like a part of you has been taken away. Like to me, this is the equivalent of shooting your last dog that you had for 3 years because you're getting a new dog in a couple months. Like that's what that feels like to me. You know, they didn't advertise Pokemon Duel. I don't even think they wanted to do the game. I think they just saw that Pokemon Go was doing very well and they wanted to try to get into the mobile game market. And the Pokemon trading figure game was a good concept to go for that. I think that game died after 3 years too. But this here was a successful version of the game. Like that game, Nintendo didn't know it. The Pokemon Company didn't know it. But that game was made for mobile devices. It was made to be played on computers. And it was good. It was good. But it feels like they essentially shot their dog because their parents told them that they're getting a new one. And I just don't think you don't treat your community like that. You just don't. Like I know people are feeling, sorry for me, and they shouldn't have to feel sorry for me. It's not their job to feel sorry for me. It's the Pokemon Company's job to feel sorry for me. It's like telling your one super fan who is on their deathbed, can you put me in a scene in your new like superhero movie? And you, the company, telling them no. That's not going to hurt anybody. You fulfill that guy's dream. And you would much rather have the bad publicity and not do it just to build controversy and then rather than, do it. They should be addressing me. We are aware that there was the one guy who spent $2,000 on this game waiting for the Pokemon that he wanted. And we're sorry to say that that won't happen because, we're closing down the servers or whatever. But if you play our next mobile game, we will compensate you accordingly for that. And I'm probably the only player in the game who did this as extreme as I did, because I believed wholeheartedly that I was going to get that one day, and they took it away from me. Like that's the one thing that I can't really process. Like, do you guys remember that one episode of South Park where Cartman heard that there was somebody in town who had a butt for a face, and he was just making jokes out of it the entire time? And then he finally went to the house of the people who had butts for faces, and he saw them for the first time. Like, he saw that, and he wasn't laughing anymore. He wasn't making jokes anymore. He wasn't, like, it broke him. He saw that and couldn't believe what he just saw. Like, it was so funny to him that he didn't know how to react to that. Like, it took away all of his humor because he couldn't believe what he just saw. Like, that revelation is like looking at God and then becoming wise because you can't explain it. Like, how can something that funny exist? That's what went through Cartman's mind, but he didn't know how to process it. That's the way that I feel right now. And it's not that it was so funny that I just can't process it. It's just that the audacity, the fact that they can do that and do it with confidence. Like, that's the thing. They didn't even show any remorse for this. They just were ending service in October. And the rest of the community is like, good. This game sucked anyway, but they enjoyed the game. They always came back and talked about it. They were always active in the Discords and the Reddits. No, they were always active about it. Even if they hated the game, they still loved it, And we were all in that relationship. So I'm trying to figure out how to process what just happened because I can't get a refund. I'm sending a message to the Pokemon devs or something about the gems that I bought. I still have 15,000 gems, and I want to know what they can compensate me with for that. I've got a lot of stuff that I haven't used, and I still enjoyed the game. But I was waiting for the day I could really enjoy it, so I'm still trying to figure out how to process that. I feel like Cartman right now, that they did something that was just so unbelievable that I don't know how to process it yet. You know what? I've rambled on too much. This video is already like 35 minutes long. But I hope I kept this as user friendly as I possibly could, because I want other people to see it. I don't want to come across as just a person who's angry. Like, I am angry. We're all angry. And we need to let them know that, you know, we're angry. But we want to be as respectful as possible, because sometimes being very vulgar and stuff like that, it can make change. You can't be nice all the time. You have to be aggressive. But for this right here, we're still 3 months out from the game being shut down. Anything can happen in 3 months. Maybe they hear our pleas. Maybe they keep the games up. They don't have to update it or update it every month. Maybe if we reach a certain goal of spending every single month, they'll look into adding more to the game. But this game will eventually reach a point where every figure could have been in the game, and you don't have to continue making more. You just make updates to changes every now and then. The other thing, maybe they dumped the code for Pokemon Duel, and they let us, the community, make a version of the game that we can play. Now, if they are in fact making a Pokemon auto chess, I don't see that happening. They'll probably just DMCA the project, and anything that we make, like Pokemon Showdown, they still might DMCA it. We don't know. This is just okay. I'm ending the video here now. 100%. I'm ending it here now. Share this video with it. Sign petitions. Make videos about it yourself. Tweet at the Pokemon Company viciously. Just make sure that they understand that this community will not go down without a fight, and we will not vanish until that good night. Yeah, there's your Independence Day reference right there. I hope you all enjoy your weekend now, and good luck.